Good morning and welcome to the Workforce Observer, where we go beyond the headlines to explore the real forces reshaping work, talent, tech, and the business of staffing. I'm excited to be joined by a father and son team, Gene and Josh Holtzman. Gene is the founder of Mitchell Martin, a company he launched in 1984 and grew into a $230 million powerhouse in the staffing and professional services space. Josh is the president and chief strategy officer of the company today, as well as an early stage technology investor. Welcome, Gene and Josh.
Good morning, Subhadra.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's been great. It's going to be great. Gene, your company has grown from a vision in 1984 to what it is today. What were the pivotal moments that most significantly fueled the company's growth?
Again, we've celebrated our 41st anniversary just past July, but we really hadn't had our greatest growth until the last 15 or 18 years. And I think I finally made a decision that I was going to really go after growth, that I was going to commit to growth and put the effort and the energy and the money into growing Mitchell Martin.
Can you talk about something which really, besides the growth mindset, was there anything else that happened that kind of really helped your thinking and the company?
I committed to hiring talent and really spending money in hiring talent and developing processes that will help us grow. And it's not just in talent and staffing and recruiting. You know, do you want to hire a CFO? Do you want to hire a head of HR? You've got to make those decisions. You can't do it all by yourself. So at one point, you have to make that decision. Are you willing to commit that time and money and effort into those things? Also, I started studying successful people in the staffing industry. I went to lots of conferences and listened to the people that were able to grow and really kind of followed their schemes. I've also read books on leadership and how do you grow a company from a small operation to a large one. There's a lot. It's very, very different in terms of as you grow into a larger organization.
Thank you. I know that organic growth has been a core strategy for you. How have you maintained a strong internal culture and operational discipline while scaling? And then we can also talk a little bit, because I know you have different things, but acquisitions and your employee ownership plan.
Right. So we made a decision that we were not going to sell. We were not going to build Mitchell Martin to sell to a strategic partner, nor do private equity. We just didn't think it was right for us. We've had employees that have been with us 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and we wanted to remain independent. So we really had a decision that we were going to create core values of our company that we live by, develop a culture of entrepreneurism and agility, and really develop those skills in the people that we had. We also looked at a platform, a management platform, and we decided to go to EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's really about discipline and accountability. We had a trainer come in for 5 years who really worked with us to develop quarterly and yearly goals. And I really think that really changed us around a lot. And we had a direction and a vision of where we needed to go.
Great. Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about how the employees were motivated?
Yeah, so we've always had like a great culture, very entrepreneurial. We're always looking to do things newer, different, or in a unique way. And I think that the ESOP has expanded that. And now everyone at the company is an owner, and we're trying to build this ownership culture mindset for everybody at the company, because the employees own 40% of the business collectively. Even some of the consultants will become eligible for the ESOP and start to vest shares. So we're thinking about ways of incorporating them to help grow the company. So we're figuring out all different ways to kind of build upon the existing entrepreneurial culture and then sprinkle on this employee ownership mindset. And I think it could be pretty powerful if done right. We're still super early in the journey of that. We've only did the ESOP a few years back. And we're doing a lot of education, teaching folks about the potential. And it allows us to take a very long-term mindset to capturing opportunities in the industry.
Great.
Roger, also briefly, we look at staffing as a career. It's not a job, and it's really a career. There are people at Mitchell Martin that make more than doctors and lawyers, and we really want to bring in people to say, this is a career. This is a wonderful opportunity. It's a very honorable career. I think there's value to it. I think we do a very good job. And that's what we try to communicate to our employees, that this is a wonderful career, no different than being an accountant or a lawyer.
Great. What about acquisitions?
So we've done 5 or 6 acquisitions so far, mostly smaller firms that are kind of, below 20 million in revenue, where private equity feels that they don't really move the needle or whatnot. We think it's opportunity to find great folks, entrepreneurial people who have built, something from zero, and they bring in great teams of sales folks, recruiters, operational staff, and a great client base, and they can operate their book of business under our umbrella. And in many cases, we've actually been winning deals where we weren't the highest bidder because people trusted us with their company that they really care about and their legacy. So it's been exciting, and we're going to keep going to attract these smaller firms in the space.
And this is across different segments, right? It's not just professional or healthcare. So
Actually, we really want to stay more in the IT and healthcare and professional services. Those are our sweet spots. We want to go into more and more niches, which we can talk about later, where we think that's the key. But we're looking for organizations that are in those three areas.
Okay. Now, you can't have any conversation today without mentioning AI, right? I mean, it's possible. And I know, Josh, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about your early stage investing, but before we get into that, what do you see as the greatest opportunities in AI for the industry?
So yeah, we're testing pilots everywhere at the company in terms of AI. We're running a pilot around sourcing right now, different various sourcing tools, a few different vetting, interview, conversational AI that's actually doing, a pre-screen vetting call. We're using AI for candidate fraud detection, and we're also looking at it in like middle back office, like accounts receivable, cost management and all of that, onboarding as well. So we're piloting on like a super small scale across the organization, and whatever works, we'll do more of. Whatever doesn't work, we'll either try again with a different vendor or whatnot. We have this concept called like open R&D, where we want to partner with the best technology firms focused in our industry and figure out ways to partner with them, become customers of them, potentially even invest in them, and figure out ways to create joint offerings even. So we're trying to figure this out, and things are moving very fast.
And how do you think staffing companies should be navigating this whole AI, I mean, I don't know what to call it, paradigm?
It's tricky. I mean, I think the opportunity is here. I think that we just have to figure out the right balance between tech and touch. You can't automate everything, and everything can't be, in people's minds and just human touch without kind of process and automation. So you got to find that right balance, and we're trying to figure out that right balance to optimize people to do what they're best at, and to have tech do what it's best at.
The dream.
One of the guys from Allegis once said, it's easier for a staffing firm to become lower touch than for a tech firm to become higher touch. And I think that rings true.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the origin story of Talent Tech Labs, right? And now you sold it to Allegis. What do you see? Let's talk a little bit about the origin and its future.
Yeah, so Talent Tech Labs came about because of like 2 reasons. We started seeing Techstars and other startup incubators creating incubators focused on certain industries, like utilities or fitness and whatnot. So that kind of was a little bit of inspiration. And then there was this company called Luma, I forget their name, Luma Ventures or something like that. And they had this map called the Lumascape, where they mapped out all the different products in ad tech. And I said, we need one of those for HR, recruiting tech. We built out the first version of that. Talent Tech Labs was actually called Headhunter Labs back in the day. And we mapped out all the different product offerings in the space. And we did it from like sourcing to engage, to interviewing to post hire.
Was this, when you say we mapped out, was it under Michel Martin? Did it have a different name? Was it an incubator? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so originally it was under Mitchell Martin, then we kind of made it a separate entity, and then we got Allegis as investors in Talent Tech Labs.
So if I was a startup and I went to your incubator, how would it work? You would put some money in, you would get some equity, and then what?
So that's so we actually didn't do equity. In some cases, we invested, but
Okay.
what we did is we invited startups in. A lot of folks were like two-person startups that just had an idea, something
Right.
related to recruiting or job seeking. We gave them
Right.
office space. We gave them our connections, and just tried to help them, grow.
Yeah,
One,
right.
one company take the interview. They shifted their name to Convey IQ. They grew to be like an 80-person company, and they did a sale. And there were a bunch of other companies that we got involved in, and we were just trying to help different firms in this
Right.
space.
Right.
And we mostly got like indirect opportunity through it. Over
Right.
time, Talent Tech Labs evolved more to like a consulting firm, going to both corporate TA and staffing firms saying, hey, what is your technology stack and what tools should you be using to innovate? And that's how it kind of morphed into from an incubator to more of a consulting firm.
So, Baja, we found hundreds of companies in the field. I call it TAT, Talent Acquisition Technology. And this was about 12, 14 years ago. And we were just overwhelmed. So one of the reasons we wanted to understand, we knew technology was going to be a disruptor. And we wanted to be ahead of it. And we were kind of early. And we spoke to a lot of different companies about partnering with us. And they liked what we had to say. But it was actually Allegiance that decided to partner with us.
Right. Right. What do you see as its future?
Well, currently, again, it's owned by Allegis.
Yes.
And Brian Delodone, who's one of the founders of it, is still there, and he's working with them. And they're really going out and developing services to, again, as Josh said, staffing companies as well as heads of talent in large corporations.
Okay, so you talked about the importance of specialization in today's IT landscape, right? How has this focus helped Mitchell Martin stand out in a competitive staffing market?
We realized years ago that we really need to specialize. You just can't be a generalist, right? So we really started focusing initially on technology and what are the areas that we think are really, really, really hard, like applications development or healthcare IT or AI and data. So we really started to focus on that. And where a lot of firms spend so much money in sales and less on recruiting, we decided to really invest in recruiting and really start developing our recruiters who really become experts in various talent pools, like I was saying, AI or data or SAP, so they can really speak to the clients and the candidates. And it's really made an impact. So, we may have a salesperson that gets a SAP role, and he will bring in one of the recruiters who are really experts, who really understands and really can talk their language. He's not an SAP expert, but he really can talk their language. And we found that that really provided value to our clients when we say to them, this is one of our niches. This is what we're working hard. We've had great experience in this, and we've had success in recruiting and placing people in that specific niche.
Great. I'm going to ask this one of Josh. And I know that, you're running the company. And so what would you say the biggest challenges that you're facing right now as a leader? How are you approaching them? And I would also like you both, after that, to address the challenges that come with running a family business.
So
Two different questions, but go ahead.
Yes.
So
Two different.
the biggest challenges right now, it's from my viewpoint, it's been about like 3 years of like a slow decline of
Yep.
Growth, at least that we've experienced. It kind of started in some of the groups that focus on some of the startup world.
Right.
About 3 years back, a lot of the venture capitalists were saying, make your funding last forever. So they kind
Right.
of closed up hiring, and they saw it trickle into some of the mid-market, then some of the enterprise. We're now seeing the startups starting to open up hiring again. So I think hopefully that's the reverse canary in the coal mine type situation.
Right.
So dealing with that, I think that after COVID, there was this whole view of offshoring.
Right.
The view is if someone's going to hire a developer in Idaho, maybe they should be in the Philippines for, a fraction of the price. So that kind of, changed it a bit. And I do think that this AI, efficiency kind of, mantra of a lot of companies is kind of like at least pausing the snapback of hiring that typically
Right.
happens after, a slowdown decline period. So I think
Right.
those few different trends are kind of working against us, and then we're trying to figure it out. And then simultaneously, things are moving faster than ever, and tech is becoming more and more critical. And staffing firms don't have an army of technologists to capture that. So I think just try and figure out how to navigate that fast-moving pace and also the need to really innovate is super challenging.
And Sabadra, I mean, you read in the newspaper, I think that companies are slow to hire. Again, of course, there's some political and economic issues, but I think really a lot of it deals with AI, and they're kind of waiting for AI. I keep reading where companies are saying, or economists are saying, that companies will have 15 to 25% less employees, right, in their company because of AI. And I think companies are figuring it out, and they're just not sure what to do. Then on the candidate side, I think we're seeing a lot of candidates, mostly the good ones, saying maybe this is not the best time to move. So I think even candidates are kind of staying at their contracts or full-time roles a little longer, waiting to see what happens. So there's still confusion in the industry that we're waiting. But this is the real deal. It's not going to change, and I think staffing firms are going to have to pivot and adjust, and they're going to have to make changes.
Right.
You spoke about a family business. I've run Mitchell Martin for 40 years. I'm very different than Josh. I'm more of an operator. Josh is more of a visionary, and we're now working through it. We're actually hiring consultants. It's very hard to kind of transfer a family-owned business, and we're working with consultants and some of our banks to understand how do you make a good transition where the employees understand where we're going and they're aware of this, and we've made it very clear. We see it as a 2 to 3 year transition. So we're taking our time. We're gonna try to focus on this and work together to make it as less difficult as we can for the employees, so they feel comfortable with the transition. But I'm comfortable moving on. I think it's time. I think a lot of founders don't want to move on. I understand that. I've done my job. It's time to move on and give it not just to Josh, some of the other people at the company. And I would love to stay on in a different capacity.
Sure. Josh, what's your biggest kind of challenge? Because I know, your father, and yet he's one who started this, and he's a persona in the industry. So how do you deal with it, and what are you thinking as you go forward?
I guess the biggest challenge is just the gray area between, am I talking to my dad right now? Am I talking to my business partner or boss right now? And just the gray area of that is sometimes challenging to navigate.
Right.
I have a mentor who said our family pushes our buttons because they installed them. And I think that's true. I think there have been some moments of heavy debate, I'll call it, but also really great moments of dinner table talk and innovation that has come from like random times like that.
Do you both have a philosophy that you all adhere to, or is it different? I mean, it couldn't be if you're working together. But if I asked
think
you,
the philosophy is, again, I personally think too many, especially young people, think, build a company and sell it and make $1 million. I say build a company for a long time, sustain it, and use that as a base to do other things. And we've done other things. We've invested in other companies. We've tried different things. Some have worked, some haven't. But I don't understand young people, build a great company that you're proud of. And we have a great glass door. I'm proud of that. And I think, again, you need to be proud of your company. I think that's more important than making more money. And having your employees feel really committed to the organization and feel the culture that they're valued as employees. So I don't know how you feel, Josh. But I think that's always been our philosophy. It was never grow this thing and sell it. We had a great opportunity 3 years ago to sell the company for a lot of money, and both of us decided that was not what we wanted to do. We thought the ESOP was the right place to go. Josh?
Yeah, the ESOP has definitely allowed us to kind of take this longer term vision. The way I look at it is like our family can, indefinitely be part of the company, and then our only partners in the company are our employees, and what better partners to have than our team members.
And we want to create wealth for our employees. And if we do this ESOP right, it's going to take 10 or 15 years. It will create wealth for our employees. It's been done. There's history of it, and companies have created great wealth for their employees, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah, we want to take like a percentage of yearly profits and invest it in startups in our industry. And those could be exponential value creation But other than that, it also pulls us into innovator, conversation with innovators and pioneers in our industry. And as I kind of said earlier, we could do like joint ventures with them. We could do joint offerings. Like we could bring the human touch, they could bring the tech, and together we could create something unique for the industry and be differentiators and whatnot. So I think like taking a percentage of yearly profits and investing in that is like us saying that we're really committed to this. And I think that could take like a really long-term view of what's possible.
Thank you. I know, the industry has weathered major disruptions, economic shifts to technological change. What's one leadership lesson you've learned that continues to guide you today, Gene?
Assume that things are going to change even in a more rapid pace, and continuous innovation, continuous disruption, continuous improvement, and take some risks out there. You got to take some risks. You got to invest your time and money into certain risks. And you'll learn from your risks. Also, keep learning like that. It's, when you read about great leaders, and people who run staffing firms should read about the great leaders out there. They're always learning. They're a learning person. They have that kind of open mindset, growth mindset. And listen to podcasts. There are some, and Josh has introduced some amazing podcasts that just doesn't give me ideas, but actually motivates me that I think we're on the right direction. And it really kind of motivates me to say, keep doing what you're doing, keep going. You got to get out there, also meet people. During COVID, we have salespeople here that hadn't met managers for 3 or 4 years. We're now really encouraging our salespeople, our recruiters, the leadership, get out there and start meeting and talking to people. Things happen when you meet people. It's not going to happen when you're behind a desk or doing it through emails or even LinkedIn. Get out there. So we're investing a lot of time and money in conferences, networking events, CIO dinners, etc.
Great. Josh, looking ahead, what market forces or trends are most likely to shape the next chapter of the staffing industry's evolution? I know it's AI, but do you have any predictions? What do you think the future of work looks like? And let's also talk a little bit about your interest in early stage startups and innovation.
So in 2009, when I joined the business full time after college, I told my dad that Uberization of our business is coming, and we have a couple years left, and there's going to be an automated system that's going to match candidates and jobs, and we should start thinking about that. Obviously, this is many years later, and that prediction was not accurate. But I do believe that technology is accelerating its importance, and we do have to find that balance of tech and touch. A lot of these platform companies have come about where it's this like, hiring managers can go find talent on their own in like a self-serve way, and then possibly even handle the whole payroll billing component in the background through some EOR or whatnot. So I do think that there could be some of that platformization, of our industry. Obviously, everything with AI, AI could affect us in disintermediating us in certain ways. Also, AI could create less, professional jobs and could, in theory, lessen our addressable market. I personally take the view that this guy Naval, who started this company called AngelList, says that people think that AI is going to obsolete software engineers, but software engineers with AI are going to obsolete everybody else. I'm more in that camp. I think that as AI becomes, more powerful and there's more automations happening simultaneously, that tech talent is going to be more important than ever before. I think it's going to be different. I think in some capacity, people are going to be QAing a lot of what the AI is doing to kind of validate that it's accurate and whatnot. But yeah, I think that there will be a ton of tech hiring in that space. I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to pan out for more corporate roles.
Are you betting on anything?
One thing that I'm betting on is I do believe that this whole 1099 independent contractor world is going to become more powerful. I know that a lot of big companies mandate like W-2, but I'm seeing more and more of the talent side wanting to do 1099. We're also seeing talent side like look at jobs as wanting to have a portfolio of jobs. Some of the younger folks are saying, I don't want to work for just one company. I want 3 different engagements going on at any given time, and kind of see it themselves as like a one-person agency. So I think that because of that, more and more people will want to be 1099s. So that's something that I think, but they have to be it in a compliant way. So that's something that I'm super interested in. And there's some charts that show that 1099 independent contractor world's growing much faster than staffing. A lot of that is because of like Uber and DoorDash and gig economy companies like that. But I do think it's going to come into like the professional space as well. And people are going to create like mini, consulting firms and, work with a lot of clients and maybe even work with, friends on random assignments and, create just like little micro firms or communities that they're working on projects together.
Okay, thank you. Now, if you both would like to share one last piece of advice or anything with our audience.
Just that
Gene?
I've been, very lucky and fortunate to get into the field of staffing. It's given me not just financially what I wanted, but even professionally and emotionally. And I think it's a great career. You got to keep moving forward. There are going to be opportunities. I don't think staffing is going away. I think there's always going to be a demand for great people. We're going to have to pivot and look at certain areas. So we're trying again. We think the niches are really a key area to become experts in certain niches where people come to us and say, hey, you guys know this industry. Help us here. And again, we've got to check out things. I know, IT consulting is still going to be a hot area. It's growing very aggressively. Should we be moving in that area? And we need to look at other kind of ancillary areas in and around staffing.
Josh, you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, if anyone has any ideas of where staffing's going or have ideas around new offerings, we want to collaborate with anyone who's thinking differently in the industry. So reach out to us, and we'd love to partner, or be a customer, or figure out a way to work together.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Josh, for your time. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Subhadra. Have a
Thank you.
nice day.